So, for today's trauma topic, I wanted to talk about being sexualized and fetishized because, um, like, everyone who isn't um, a cishet man is sexualized and fetishized by them. That's like part of patriarchy, but there are um, ways in which the trans and queer experience with those issues is unique. Um, so like just to kind of get us started, um, one of the first questions that I get from people whenever they meet me and find out I'm trans is like, well, there's like two that kind of go hand in hand. Are you top or bottom?
Oh, of course.
And have you had the surgery? Which, of course, they're talking about bottom surgery. They want to know what my genital configuration is, and they have dehumanized and sexualized and objectified us so much that like that is right out of the gate.
So I have a huge problem with the second question. And I live in Georgia, so I can say that I've experienced this before, but in very red areas, they don't say the surgery. They ask you if you've had the snip.
Oh yeah, yeah. They'll put things in vulgar terms for sure.
Yes. Have
They're
you
like,
had
did
the snip?
yeah, did you cut it off?
Right. Which shows a profound sense of
Corinne,
not understand.
that's premium content.
Well, it shows a profound sense of people that don't understand the nature of that surgery. And so, you know, yeah, the my like fetishized experience with a Southern guy story, that was the exact experience
Yeah.
that I had.
Yeah, and it's like if if we say yes, we've had that surgery, then um they move into like more traditional misogyny toward us. Um but they like because they fetishize us for those parts,
Right.
then it's like, well, you can't give me what I want, which is my porn fantasy of a trans woman topping me. Therefore, I'm going to like treat you worse as if they don't treat us bad enough, like trying to get us into bed.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I that has been well. I've had that exact experience. I've had that experience from a chance encounter that was supposed to be an intimate encounter, and the way it went did not go well. Uh,
Yeah.
and it got aggressive, but the long and short of it was I was on Hinge and unlike most people on dating apps, I used my real photos. So it wasn't like I was misrepresenting myself, but, you know, this feeds into the objective, objectification over humanity, which reduces us to a type,
Mhm.
um, or a fantasy that strips away any identity that I have. And that's what happened in this case. And so I met the guy, and um, he was clearly straight, clearly never gay, never nothing. And so I had opted to meet the person over at Felix's, which is a local gay bar. And he didn't want to meet there, which that's usually the telltale. Oh, okay, we're dealing with a closet case.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, he doesn't want his buddies to drive by and see his car.
right. So Felix has turned into Starbucks or whatever. And so we sat at Starbucks and we talked. I mean, he was interesting. He was an IT person. And so, got to the end of the coffee date and he said, "Can we go back to your place?" And I was I was particularly horny that night, and I said, "Sure." And my apartment was like across the street. And so I lived close to, I was living in Ansley Park at the time. And so Ansley Park is very walkable. You live in Ansley Park, literally across the street from the three major apartment complexes that are there. There's five gay bars, two lesbian bars, and numerous, you know, Starbucks and LA Fitness. And anyway,
Yeah.
so we went back. And so then that was when the talk happened. Sat down and I said, "Are you comfy? Can I get you something or whatever?" He's like, "Well, I have a few questions." And I'm like, "Okay." "I thought your boobs would be bigger." And I just sort of looked at the guy and was
That's
like,
not a question.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's it's
yeah.
not a question.
Well, is that a question? Are you asking to look at my breasts to see how large they are? And he said, "Well, yeah, because I thought they'd be bigger." I was like, I went to take my jacket off, and that's when he asked the question was, "Oh, and by the way, I'm curious, have you had the snip or not?" And I literally looked at him and I said, okay, I don't want there to be any illusions about what's happening here." And he said, "Okay." And I'm like, I'm assuming by you asking that question that one, you don't understand what that surgery is about. And that two, in not understanding what that surgery is about, you're indicating that you want me to top you. And he said, "Well, no, I don't understand anything about that surgery. I always just assume you get it cut off." And okay, I could see where the fuck this is going. But anyway, and so then I said, "Well, sure. Okay." This was early in my transition. So I said, "Fine. I'm not going to answer that question or educate you about that surgery, but calling it that is one, insensitive, and two, does not understand the nature of the surgery at all." And he said, "And yeah, I want you to top me." And I'm like, I mean, okay, I'm going to tell you. Have you ever been topped before? And he's literally like, "Well, no, I figure it's going to be real easy with people like you because, you're on them drugs or whatever, and it makes things smaller." And I was like, "Oh, about that?" And I pulled my dress up, dropped my pants, and said, "There you go, all 10 and a half of it." And his eyes popped the fuck out of his head. And he immediately threw his jacket on and ran out of the apartment. Well, shit. Okay. Which, by the way, I want to be clear. I am very much a versatile bottom. So most of the time, I'm on the passive end of the equation. Being asked to be on the active end of the equation, I'm not opposed to, But there has to be some emotion there,
Yeah.
and after that experience. But so what leads me into that though is, I think, so Brandon, can I ask you? So that was my experience with a heterosexual person. Have you had that kind of experience with somebody before?
I mean, there are definitely guys especially on Grindr, that are DL. They don't usually put their picture, or they put it from neck down. And some of them, well, like the last guy I was with, he just wanted his dick sucked, basically, and and I was, before we even started, I was like, I was fine with it. I knew that he was straight, and well, I knew that. I guess I shouldn't say he was he was on the straight side of the scale, I guess. But no, he didn't want to do anything intimate. Like, I mean, he didn't want to kiss. Actually, I asked him if I could kiss him, and he he uh he let me, but he was very hesitant about it, and it didn't last very long, and but anyway. But yeah, there are definitely guys like that who are willing to allow you to give them oral sex, but
Yeah.
they
They're
are
like,
not.
oh, this is the service the gays will provide for me.
Yeah.
Right. But they are not willing to reciprocate, at least in that for that particular action.
And it's not
But
gay.
yeah,
Not
no,
gay if I don't do anything.
right. Because I'm not the one sucking it. I can't. I'm not gay. He's the one doing it.
Right.
I'm just standing here, or laying here, or whatever.
I don't know how that got in there.
But yeah, because I mean, they could also say, "Oh, I was thinking about a woman, or I was thinking about something else, or whatnot." But
Right.
some of them are willing to admit that they've got a curiosity and everything, but they're not willing to do, like you said about meeting at a gay bar or whatever. They're not willing to go that far, or to publicly announce, And this one guy was talking about, he was gonna have me over, but it was like he had to wait till his roommates were in bed, so he could sneak me into the apartment and everything.
Oh my God.
But yeah, there are definitely a lot of guys that are still like that, and I do see a lot of guys that are on Grindr that say specifically they're looking for a trans, or a couple of the guys, they say trans or feminine, femboy, anybody uh, on the feminine side.
Yeah.
That here in Atlanta, especially, and in Georgia, the larger body, there's this reinforcement of stereotypical behavior. And I hate this, but so if you go on Grindr here in Atlanta, a very common phrase you'll find is no fats, no fags, and no femmes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's people who are trying to enforce the butch gay man, mentality or whatever. And it's like, as much against them, Moraine, I know you're going to know what I'm talking about when I say this. The hypersexualization of trans women. Guys believe that trans women are just super hypersexual and want to fuck anything.
Yeah, because they think, like, even if we're on hormones, even those who've had surgeries, um, they still think of us as, like, cross-dresser premium,
Oh,
where it's
right.
like, that they expect us to have the same kinds of views on sex and sexuality that they have, the same kind of sex drive, want the same kinds of um, physical stimulation. Like they think that um, you know this kind of ties into something else I had in my notes that like some I've been accused of transitioning because I fetishize women in a certain way, or I have um, AGP, which for those who don't know, AGP is pseudoscience bullshit. It stands for autogynephilia, and it is the idea that um, men will transition into women as a sexual fetish because they see inhabiting a woman's body as an inherently sexual thing.
Mm.
Like, you get off on the idea of being a woman is like the accusation. And um it's not how it works.
No, no, that's
You know,
bullshit.
I'm not deceiving anyone by being who I am. I'm not um I didn't transition for sexual gratification in a like fetish sense. Like um transitioning has like changed my experience of sexuality. Um but that's not it's not a kink. It's that like being myself allows me to really like feel about like what it is I want to.
Yeah, I agree with you from that perspective. One of the things that you deal with coming out of that is consent ambiguity. And so when someone is sexualized or fetishized, then what terms consent versus doesn't becomes a
Mhm,
gray area. One night, I went out to Johnny's Hideaway, which is a bar in Atlanta, and it's trans friendly. Not It's not a trans bar. I mean, there's straight people that go in there, but it's trans friendly. And so I sat down at the bar and I was wearing a really nice dress. And I was wearing like the expensive hose and the 4-inch stiletto heels. And I had done my wig right and my makeup was spot on that night. And I'd really sort of more caked on my makeup than usual. Um, you know, and so this guy walked up and sat down and offered to buy me a drink. And so we were going back and forth, and he kept buying my drinks, and I was talking to him. He was clearly intoxicated. And so then he's like, "Can we step outside?" And we went to his car, and he got in his car, unzipped his pants, pulled his dick out, and said, "Here you go." And I looked at him and said, "What do you want me to do?" Well, you're going to take care of it. And I'm like, "No." Well, I bought your drink, so you have to service me now. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get the fuck out of the car.
yeah.
And so, yeah, when you're when you're placed into that typification, people think that, oh, it's okay. You're automatically consenting to whatever it is that I want you to do to me.
Yeah, everything is transactional
Yes.
and unspoken. Like they assume drinks equal sex. They assume the same thing when they're taking cis women out
Yeah.
as well. They and then they'll turn around and be like, "I've never paid for it." Like, my guy, you are literally acting like that's the right thing is to pay for it.
Yes.
And like don't take any like that is a dig at sex workers at all. That's a whole
No. Oh,
different
no.
thing. Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah. Let's be very clear about something. And in these talks where we're talking about queer strata subjects, I don't know about either of you, but I am sex worker positive. You know, you know, I'm not going to dig on sex workers for what they do, not by a long shot. And I
no,
have friends who are in the trans community and the gay community who are sex workers, and I support them.
yeah.
So no, I didn't take it that way.
Yeah, and they have to deal with these creepy men in ways that we don't.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
yes, yes. I have a funny story about that. I have a funny story about that actually, and so the funny story about that is this: um, a local friend is a girl named Brandy. She lives up in Candler Park. She's a great trans girl. She's person of color trans girl. Real fun to be around. She's great to party with. But anyway, she's a sex worker, and so um, she gets guys that you know hit her up or whatever, and then they get scared. Well, especially if she like detects that they're like the straight curious type. She's very well known for either justifying that fear or um, you know, ending their curiosity very quickly. And I asked her one time, I'm like, what's the creepiest thing that you've ever had happen? And here's the thing about Brandy. She's a big girl. She's about my height and she's built much more rigidly than I am. And she's like, oh yeah, when we get back to the place, they know they're heading south of the border, and that's all there is to it. And she says, I would tell you like 50% of the time, those type of guys, the minute they, the minute the gag reflex kicks in, they stop, they get drift, and they leave.
Yeah.
And so, it's like, okay, if you're going to do that to somebody, if you're going to sexualize somebody like that, I mean, there are consequences for mistreating people. So, let me ask you this, Brandon. Do you think that this kind of behavior erodes the safe spaces that we have as queer people?
Yeah. I mean, when you go somewhere and you don't know what to expect. I mean, the unknown is always kind of scary. And although, I don't know if a lot of straight people go to gay bars and things like that. to pick up anybody. So I guess there's not much of an expectation that kind of thing will happen in that environment. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how common that is. I mean, have you seen that much?
So let me just give you an example, and then you can run with it. So here in Atlanta, one of the popular straight catching points is the local sauna.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Closeted, married, heterosexual guys will ask you, "Are you gonna go to? You want to go to the Flex Spa later? You
yeah.
know, do you want to go to the sauna later? Yeah, okay. No, I want to go to the Hideaway or Felix's or you know, um, Backstreet when it was open in Atlanta or the Heretic. You mention any gay bar to somebody on a dating app. If they say no, you need to ignore that person.
I guess if you're going on an app like Grindr, you kind of have to expect that there's going to be some sexualization because it is infamous for being a hookup app, and that's the main focus of most guys on there. So, and that's not to say that's the way it should be, but if you do go on there expecting something different, you're going to be disappointed. You know.
Yeah.
Have you had Mike Johnson yet?
I haven't seen him.
Or
I don't
any
think.
other politicians.
Yeah. Have you had a Republican yet?
Not that I know of. I don't think they're in my area. But yeah, I mean, I still go on Grindr, but I go in with knowing that it's all about sex for most people on there. Although
Yeah.
I've seen a few people that have said, "Don't send me a dick pic as your first response," and I'm looking for a more meaningful relationship or whatever. And that's a little odd to say something like that on Grindr. It's like, well, why don't you go to, I don't know, why don't you go to a different dating app or whatever? Although I do like, one thing I like about Grindr is the logistics aspect, how you can see exactly how far away they are from you. They're very good about that.
That's something that I want to point this out. That's something that's made closeted gay life very complicated now, realizing that if you're on Grindr, you're revealing your location data, and
Yeah,
the people that are looking for you can see your location data. Guess what? If you're a pastor, you might not want to be in the church.
right. Yeah.
With the
Yeah.
Grindr app open, or
But some of those kinds of guys are so dumb that, like, they'll sit in their pastor's office and
um,
Yeah.
yeah, it just I- it creates a distorted representation of the community as a whole. I mean, mainstream narratives that highlight the fetish aspects.
Now, do you are you offended about someone asking whether you've had the surgery? Does it depend on how they ask, or do you, like, if in a dating app kind of situation, if they want to know if you've had the surgery or not, is that them asking that? Is that, like, I don't know, what I'm trying to say?
yeah, Rand, I'm gonna let you
yeah,
answer that one.
sure. So there's, like, you have to consider a few factors. There's like, where does it come in their list of questions?
Mhm.
Like, did we have a conversation and you worked up to ask that question because like you felt like you earned it from the conversation? Or like, you know, they're thinking about, okay, well this is going well socially. If I want to take it to a physical place, then like that's a practical question at that point in time. And there's nothing wrong with people having preferences, people
Right.
having genital preferences. Like if you're looking for, um, if your type is um, a trans woman who tops with her original equipment, um, you have to find out. Like I'm not on the dating apps. This is like, but um, like you got to find out. Like, is this person going to be what I want as far as the sexual aspect of a relationship? Um, and then there is also the like, how do you ask the question? So Wendy was talking about people asking if you have had the snip,
Right.
or
Right.
sometimes people will say, did you get it cut off yet? Um, and that's um terrible. Like that's dehumanizing in its own way, because they just see you as the sum of your parts.
Well, I
And
think anybody that would just think that through would realize that that's a crude way of asking that kind of thing.
Well,
I
yeah,
mean, obviously some people just aren't thinking or have that kind of empathy or understanding. But yeah, I mean, I understand like what you're saying. There's there are preferences that you don't have. So at least some people they don't have much control over. It's like, well, I prefer this, and I just can't see myself being with someone of you know uh, this type of person or whatever. And then there are some people that put more emphasis or more importance on sex in their relationship. Some people don't need sex in their relationship. It's more about intimacy. So
yeah,
if they do have that importance on sex, then that would be a question I think would come up sooner in a conversation than someone who
right,
put less importance on it.
yeah. And it's like, if a trans woman puts herself out there, like, hey, I'm looking for a long-term relationship, or like I'm looking for something serious, and then some dude comes in with that kind of question right away,
Right.
it's clear that he's completely disregarded
Right.
what she said, and he just wants to get off.
Yeah.
Like, if if you're just looking to get laid, that's fine,
Right.
but
Do it with somebody else.
go to the profiles of the people who are also like, yo, I'm
Right.
here to get some action.
Yeah.
so from a dating perspective, so I've had positive conversations where people ask the question, and here's my experience. Not that I've been on the dating market recently, because I've got that one over there. Um, but
I'm so glad not to be on the market.
Uh,
oh, you know what? I'm very happy not to be. Anyway, I do not envy anyone that is in that space, and so right. Brandon, you have my heart eternally. I promise. Um,
We love you.
yeah.
uh,
If you would just come to
I'm glad
Atlanta,
somebody does.
if you would just come to Atlanta, I could find you a husband, and then that'd be it.
Uh,
You'd be done. But So when I had that conversation go well was talking to a guy and back and forth, and then finally he asked, "Can I ask you a personal question?" And I said, "We've established a rapport enough over a couple of days. Sure, you can ask a personal question." And so then his question was then, and the way he said this was, "Have you had top or bottom surgery?" And I asked him, "Okay, do you understand Trans 101?" And he said, Vaguely. And I said, "Okay." So at the time, the answer was, "No, I have not had top or bottom surgery." And so he said, "Oh, okay." Um, and then he asked the question, and again, he didn't ask the top or bottom question. He said, "Are you active in bed or passive in bed?" And I was like, "Oh, that's a reasonable question." I would say reasonably that I am passive in bed, yes, generally speaking. And there are certain conditions where that would not be the case. And then this was the cake topper. He said, "Oh, well, I identify as X." And that was like, okay, this is a person I want to keep talking to. And so what he said was, I am at very least I identify at the very least as a demisexual or a sapiosexual, even though I'm looking for a good time at the same time. I'm like, okay, that's purely honest. Do I both of you understand demisexuality and sapiosexuality? Right. So for those that don't know, demisexuality is sexuality where a person requires an emotional connection before they can get together. And a sapiosexual is a person that's turned on by a person's intelligence level. And so, yeah, that was a good conversation. Here's the thing. That was one in hundreds of conversations that were not at all good or entertaining.
Yeah, they're rare.
Yeah. But, and this brings up the 10th point, um, is that this problem largely as a whole creates a barrier to authentic relationships. It makes having an authentic relationship or finding that relationship impossible because you have all the kinky shit over here, and then you have, the authentic people that want to have a relationship here, and you're trying to get here, but you're in this amorphous blob of mess that,
Yeah.
you know, and if you're with somebody who fetishizes you, then that's a barrier to having an authentic relationship with that person.
Yeah, and to, like, riff off of that, um, I've known a lot of trans and queer people who've gotten into a relationship with someone who fetishizes them, someone who's a chaser, maybe, and then they end up with being in an abusive relationship
Oh, keep talking.
because
I have
yeah, because the guy who just wants you for your combination of parts or just wants you because of his fetish, um, isn't like he never intends to see you as a person. And if he does hook you into a longer term relationship, it's not because, oh, he's wanting to settle down with you. It's because he wants your sexual availability whenever he wants it. And yeah, so like I known way too many people who've gotten into situations like that, and it's it can be hard to avoid or hard to like recognize going into it, even though we try to be safe, we try to ask all the right questions, um, but people mask their intent. They'll learn enough of the language of the trans community to use it against us or to manipulate us. Um, and yeah, it's a terrible thing.
Well, he's already narrowed you down to your sexuality to begin with.
Yeah,
And then, so obviously, he's diminished you as a person in his mind. And so that makes it easier to look at you as less than a person in a relationship, also to use you for other things or not value you beyond your sexuality.
yeah,
So there is a person who Onyx Rose and I know quite personally. And Onyx, if you're paying attention, I'm not going to name this person, but I am going to talk about this person's experience because it leads into this problem. And so, which will lead me to ask you, Brandon, a question.
Oh boy.
Whether you feel
ready.
comfortable, yes, whether you feel comfortable answering the question or not. Um, but regardless, in the trans community, we have a terminology called stealth. And what stealth is when you are a trans woman, you're living outwardly as a woman and you are not revealing to the world as a whole that you are trans. And so, it's really living stealth arises from a desire to be safe and accepted. There are trans women who choose to live in stealth to avoid discrimination, violence, stigmatization, all of those things. And we live in a society that vilifies us for not doing that. So I want to avoid harassment. But there's a larger problem here, especially when dealing with a partner who fetishizes you for being trans. And that's forcing you to be stealth. And so when it's not a personal choice, but a condition that's imposed on you by your partner, that dynamic shifts entirely from self-preservation and into a form of coercion.
Right, because the partner is like, I'm ashamed of the idea that people would know that I'm dating a trans person.
Yes,
Therefore, you have to be stealth.
yes. And so in this person's case, their partner, and here's how it would go. Their partner outwardly was an over masculine, bike riding, hugely masculine person who, when the door shut, he bent over and and so outwardly, he would force her to observe a stealth existence. And so, because as Miranda says, transphobic partners demand stealth out of fear of social judgment, internalize transphobia, and as a result, control. And so one day I talked to her. I'm like, what is that relationship even like? And she's like, well, here's how it is. I go to work, I come back from work, and basically I get called a fag and a sissy and a cocksucker and yada, 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 behind closed doors. He utterly demeans me and brings me down to denomination 0. And then tells me, oh, and when you go outside, you can't tell anybody, or I will beat you up, and then I will break up with you, and I will kick you out of my house and fuck you. And so this person was forced to live in a stealth situation for a long time. And that psychological toll was very painful for
Yeah. And in these types of relationships, um, these partners will use the same kind of um, other control mechanisms that you see in abusive relationships, like in straight relationships where like men won't let their women have jobs outside of the house, or if they do have a job outside of the house, it's going to be something that is um, a less valued career with lower pay, and so you end up being dependent on your partner who's abusing you for your ability to live. Like if I leave this person who's hurting me, then I don't have a home. I don't have food. I like it's all tied together.
Yeah.
So the question that leads me to ask you, Brandon, is, have you been in a situation where a person has told you can't be gay on the outside?
No, I haven't. Not as far as a relationship goes. Well, okay. Yes, I guess for a little while. Um, he, well, not to, no, sorry, I'm going back and forth here. He never told me I couldn't be gay on the outside. He didn't want to bring me home to meet his family and stuff because he wasn't out to them yet. And so we were in a relationship for a while, and we even like, there was a time while we were walking through Walmart and he held my hand and he showed some displays of affection in public, depending on where we were, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, different social spheres, different rules.
yeah. But he never blatantly said, you've got to hide being gay or whatever, as far as what he was dictating that I did. Just that our relationship wasn't completely out to everybody. He wasn't telling everybody about that.
Right.
But I've never been in a relationship where I've felt threatened about it or anything, because I understand when somebody's not out and haven't told their family and friends or anything. That's a hard thing to do. It takes a while sometimes, and
Yeah.
you kind of have to be patient with how they want to do that. Now, if it goes on years and years, and it's like, okay, well, there's I can't keep doing this.
Right. Because of the emotional toil that takes on you.
Yeah.
That emotional distress, even itself, depending on what form it takes, becomes abusive to you as a person.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
because
I'm not in the closet, but your closet is
right,
locking me in.
that's what I was about to say. 'Cause I've been in the closet for a while, and now I'm kind of having to go through that emotional journey again in a way through you. I'm in the vicarious closet again.
Yeah. It's
Right.
dark in here.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, that forces you. Well, that doesn't force you. It encourages you to reclaim agency, however the fuck you choose to do that. And that's why you seek out support networks to deal with, which in this case, this person who, they were younger, in their early 20s, and they transitioned very early in their lives, well before they were a teenager. Um, and, so they were very independent and very, um, uh, you know, I would never have guessed that they lived in a situation where they had a partner that was forcing them because the partner was transphobic or even in this case homophobic into living a stealth life. And so, you know, one of the giveaways was, um, she was a member of the local support group, and that's why she was going to the support group, because she was looking for support from the community. And so after the support group would meet, we'd all head over to the Mexican restaurant and drink margaritas and shit. And I have hundreds of pictures from that time because it was early in my own transition. I was going through shit, so I took photos. She hated having photos taken of her. If she got the idea you were taking a photo, her hands would immediately go up over her face. And here's the thing, if you ever saw her, she was, by all rationale, drop dead gorgeous. She was a very attractive woman by, even most modern standards. And so I never understood why. And yeah, because she was afraid that pictures would end up on social media and he would find out or he would find them and it would turn into something disgusting,
Yeah.
which is painful. So, whew. Oh, wow.
Didn't I pick a fun topic for us
Yeah, you
today?
picked a great topic. I had one other item on the topic list, and if you want to touch it, we can. And that's uh, commercial exploitation. And the reason for that is the media adult content. This is the thing. So this is as a trans woman, porn has ruined society's view of what I'm supposed to be.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and we know from all of the IP tracking and everything that the biggest consumers of trans porn are also the ones who are um, most opposed to us having full civil rights. And there's a sociological reason for that, and that is that um, marginalized groups who have their rights to housing and not facing workplace discrimination and things like that taken from them often have to turn to sex work.
Yes.
Like, um, they want to, that they aren't satisfied by the fact that there are a wide variety of people who are doing sex work. They want to force us into that so that we can serve them. It's another way that like how they look at us socially is driven by their sexualization of us.
Yes.
And and this kind of ties into something else that I had in my notes, and that is the bathroom debate is driven in large part by how they sexualize and fetishize us, because you have these accusations that trans women are going into women's bathrooms in order to do things to cis women. And that's because the cis men who are like driving these transphobic, misogynistic conversations, um, they know quite well that men have been socialized to be aggressors, um, in every sense, but like specifically in a sexual sense. And so whenever they um, tie our personhood to sexualization, fetishization, that's hard to say.
Fetishization.
Fetishization.
Then like it's
Fetishization.
yeah. We'll just write that one out and I have to say it. But like they, it's the utmost of projection, right? It's that like, well, I as a man, if I had that kind of access that these trans women are demanding, then I would be turned on by the woman in the stall next to me, or I would want to, um, essay people because of all this manly sexual desire. But um, we're not men. We're not cross dressers. Like, but they've assigned us into this like male aggressor role.
I could see how it would also be not just driving to sex work, but just by keeping people in the closet. So if you were to have all of your rights and live openly the way you want to, they wouldn't be able to put you in the closet as easily.
Yeah.
You can live more openly and authentically. So they can't. It goes back to also their fetishization. Now I've got the F
I'm glad
word.
it's not just me. The F word, the other F word.
Right. But they wouldn't be able to live out their fantasies in secret anymore because, like, well, they can be out and living completely openly. They don't feel the need to hide who they are, be in the closet or anything. So what am I going to do with my fetishes? I can't be secret anymore. I can't sneak around, and I don't know. That's kind of just a
Yeah.
thought I had.
I very much wish that men generally would realize and be okay with bisexuality. Like it is okay to date women, marry women, but still have sexual desire for men. And, of course, the like terms of your specific relationship would like determine how you can or can't act on that. But and that's a separate issue to work out. But if you can realize like, oh yeah, I'm not straight. I keep hooking up with men because like I desire them. Maybe I'm bisexual, then like come to terms with that and be bi.
Wendy, you're
Wendy, your
muted.
audio.
An interesting parallel to make there is the historical usage of bisexuality. And so if you read my queer space stories in the bar, you'll know that one of the characters in the bar is Marcus. And Marcus is married to a woman, Sarah is her name, and she doesn't understand why it is that Marcus has to go to the sanctuary bar to seek community because he's bisexual. She also doesn't understand why he likes to look at men and all of these things. But there's a social analysis to be made there. And the social analysis is this. For a long time and for many years, bisexuality was the excuse. And then over time, bisexuality turned into something that needed to be erased. So back in the 70s and 80s, like when it came out that Freddie Mercury was gay, like the narrative back then was like, oh, he's not gay, he's bisexual. That makes it okay. And
Mhm.
so
Like
many,
Elton John originally came
yes,
out as bi. Like
yeah,
the,
yeah, like celebrities were shoved into the bisexual box when they were just gay. And so over time, the not being able to use that as an excuse anymore caused this situation to occur where, okay, now we just have to erase it. Like we're trying to erase trans people and everyone else. And so,
yeah, this culture loves its binaries. Like they want gay or straight. They want man or woman. Like everything's a binary. And that's not how any of us actually experience life.
no,
But,
no,
you
definitely
know,
not.
but it's easier to categorize people if you've got two categories.
Well, and again, true to that form is and I've said this before, is the attenuation that the heterosexual community is infamously guilty of, which is where they try to take gender and orientation and slam them together in a way that
Oh
makes
yeah.
them fit. But it's sort of like this, not like this, it's like this, because you can't take orientation and you can't take gender and shove them together, um, because it doesn't work. I mean, people ask me all the time,
Yeah.
how can you claim to be a lesbian if you are a male to female trans woman? And
Yeah.
because I'm in a relationship with another trans woman who is a woman, and by
Yeah.
fact, that actually makes me sapphically inclined.
Right. Yeah. And like, I've been told, um, well, you just transitioned because you failed at being a gay man. And it's like, I happen to be bisexual, but, like, my preferences are on the sapphic end of the spectrum. And so, um, yeah, I'm not just like substituting male gay sexuality here. Like I'm out here being gay with women.
I mean, I spent a week intimately with Miranda for a week. I can tell you that that's totally true.
Scandal.
Oh, hush. I'm going to do it again in December when Sarah comes to visit. Which, by the way, I'm just going to warn you for trauma talk on that Monday. That's like the 15th of December. Sarah will be here, and we could do a four-way trauma talk.
Ooh,
And
scandal.
I have a perfect topic for that. I have a topic saved up for that one.
Yeah. Hey, I want to talk about like a practical matter for trauma talk. So I
Okay.
told the two of you last week that I can just do Mondays. at this point. So are you two still gonna like run a Friday show and maybe like you might pull up a guest or something?
So from a practicality perspective, how do you feel about that, Brandon? If we bring in a guest to talk about the one, I'm not breaking the band up.
Yeah.
And then two, as soon as I normalize my schedule a little bit better, Miranda, I will tell you, for instance, we can do a Thursday. We can do a Monday.
Okay.
We can do a Monday and a Thursday. But I still need to normalize my work schedule a little bit better, just so that I can snipe my lunches.
Yeah.
And
And
so,
like Monday and Thursday would most weeks work for me.
what do you feel about that, Brandon?
I'm fine with whatever. I'm flexible in many ways, but I think we can do like we could do Fridays is still okay and bring a guest. I just kind of skimmed over that, yeah. But
Yeah, I like that.
Well,
right. I mean,
wanna...
bringing a guest on, I think is a good, just kind of a little what do I want to say, variety for now. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it if you two are fine with it.
Here's the
How's
thing. My YouTube channel, all of the shorts where the band is actually doing the live, I get a lot of positive flux from it. So I want to continue that flux, because those shorts are getting, like, I don't even have to promote those shorts. Like, there's 2 or 3 shorts of us doing this kind of discussion that's going into the thousands. And so my YouTube channel, again, much less against the stuff that Substack posts from these lives, it's being there's a lot of positive. I get a lot of positive comments. So
Yeah.
I am going to again assert, let's not fucking break the band up. But that being said, yeah, I'd be happy to do a guest spot on a Friday. Until I'm gonna just suggest, like, for instance, like, we can go to a Monday, Thursday. When we go to a Monday, Thursday, I could probably do that by the end of November,
Okay.
because then I'll have a lot better control over my schedule.
Yeah.
So,
sounds fine with me.
Yeah, I've got a hard stop at 3, so we're right at time. Miranda,
Yeah.
final thoughts?
No, I think
Okay, don't go out
we're
and
good.
fuck random people.
What?
Listeners, don't go out and fuck random people.
Yeah, and
that's not what I took away from this.
Yeah, and whoever you're playing with, play safe.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
That I can do that.
Yeah. Play safe, use lots of lube, and breathe. Just breathe.
Oh, where's my fan? Oh, no, I thought I had my fan close by. I don't know where it is.
Okay. I love you both. Next
Love
time.
you.